What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Peters Gryphon 100 watt 2-channel amplifier. Let's do it! Alright, hope you guys are doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take awesome high gain amplifiers, overdrives, guitars, cabs, speakers, pickups. I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into East End or thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and total tool bags, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on your way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so I have been meaning to do this video for quite a while. This amp has been in my possession for, I don't know, 6 months now. It's been a long time. Now, I do not own this amp. I am borrowing this amp from my friend Peacefire, along with about 30 other amps. But Peters is a name that I have heard many, many times over. It's one of those brands where they kind of have like a lot of forum hype with like the guys that are really in the know. But as far as like demos and artists that are using them that are very, visible, there really isn't much. There's not much out there to really see what these amps can do, and I know that Peters has basically gone through a number of different revisions for their amps, a number of different models and everything, and this is technically an outdated model in the Peters lineup, and the Gryphon has morphed into something newer. I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not do any research on this amp prior to making this demo because I'm a little bit short on time making it, so I figured we just plug into it, see how it sounds, because ultimately that's what matters. But yeah, this model is no longer in production. It has been turned into a different model, and if you know what model that is, put it down below in the comments because I'd love to hear from you guys if you are Peters fans. That just sounds weird to say. Not only that, but it's the Peters Gryphon. How unfortunate is that? But anyways, the thing that is not unfortunate about this amp is how it sounds. Because when I was playing it in that intro clip, I thought it sounded absolutely awesome. And every time that I've plugged into this amp, I've thought that it has sounded awesome. And it really has me kind of itching to locate a Peters for myself to play with. I'm sorry, low-hanging fruit, I had to do it. But anyways, as you guys can see, this is a fairly simple amplifier. You've got your power controls over here, your power section controls, where you've got damping, which is basically like a negative feedback type control. You've got a depth and a presence. Everybody knows what those do. You have foot switchable master volume, so you can switch from one to the other. And then over here, you have your 2 different channels. You've got a switch here to go from clean to overdrive, and then each channel has its own basic volume, EQ, and gain controls. But over here, you've got 2 additional switches. One is a crunch. Now, when it's in the crunch setting, when it's switched down like this, it seems to have a little bit less gain. You switch it up, and it seems like it's almost like a volume boost into the preamp because it fattens it up a tad little bit. That's a new one. It fattens it up a little bit, and it also seems to add a little bit of saturation. So I'm guessing that it just kind of pushes the front end a little bit harder, or maybe adds a little bit extra signal into the front end. And then on the edge, you switch that up, and contrary to a lot of edge type switches on a lot of amps, this doesn't add high end. It just seems to add a ton of gain and compression, which, I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't really like it when it's on, but that's my personal opinion. But we'll explore both of those switches a little bit more. And then on the back of the amp, it's got a couple of power section switches as well that alter the response of the power section. So one switch is a wide and normal, and the other switch is a vintage and modern. So we had it on wide and we had it on modern, and I will show you the differences that those switches make on this thing as well. But feel like we got some ground to cover, so let's go ahead and jump into it. For that intro clip, I was using my Gallagher Typhon with a Duncan Distortion SH6 pickup. For the boost, I was using my tried and true Deadwell Duality. We're gonna go ahead and shut that off. We're gonna put everything to noon, including the power section controls. I'm gonna put the EQ at noon. We're gonna keep both these switches in the down position. We're gonna go to 9 o'clock on the gain. We're not even gonna explore the clean channel. We're gonna jump right into the gain sounds because this is Belligerent Amateur Central, and we can't even say amateur, and we also don't do cleans. All right, so that is everything at noon. Gain just under 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and bump it up. There's quite a bit of gain on tap on this channel already. You can already tell that we're getting a good amount of saturation. All right, so again, we've got a good amount of saturation with no boost out front. I feel like overall, the amp sounds pretty balanced, maybe a little bit light on the top end. Let's go ahead and bump that presence up to see if we can kind of make up for some of that. The presence doesn't really do much until it's on the furthest end of the sweep, so it's kind of like a 6505 or a 5150 in that regard. So definitely just a modern sounding amp overall. It seems fairly tight without a boost out front. Let's go ahead and push that gain up to noon and get ourselves into high gain territory because I have a feeling it's not gonna take very much. All right, so pushing the gain like that definitely fatten the amp up a considerable amount, but when you have a negative feedback control on an amp, usually that can make a big difference in kind of bringing the highs and the mids a little bit more forward in the sound. So let's just turn that damping up just a little bit. And just like that, we have plenty of high end and it seems to have kind of straightened the low end out a little bit. Not bad. Okay, so not a ton of string clarity. It's not, I wouldn't say it's muddy, but it definitely doesn't excel in the string clarity area. You're not hearing every single kind of note ring through like you would in a lot of other high-end or more boutique style amplifiers. We are gonna go ahead and push this gain because a lot of you guys complain that I don't push the gain enough on these amps when I do these demos. So here you go. So that's that. Let's go ahead and kick this crunch switch in with the gain at noon. All right, so we definitely have a little bit more saturation, but again, flipping that switch up not only adds saturation, but it seems to add a little bit of low end fullness. So let's actually pull the lows back a tad. Let's bump those mids and the treble just a little bit. I got lost in the middle of my own riff. So yeah, with that being said, it definitely seems to open it up a little bit by pulling the low end back and bumping the mids and treble. Let's add some depth because now we are lacking a little bit of low end. That sounds pretty cool to me. So it definitely has kind of that modern, more guttural, low mid voicing, a la something like a modern mode on a rectifier. I dig it because it is just tighter than a rectifier. Maybe not quite as mean and angry, a little bit more refined in the gain structure, but it kind of has a similar thing going on. So I'm going to switch the power section response mode to normal. We were in the wide mode. Let's see if that tightens things up a little bit. All right, back to wide. And back to normal one more time. So in normal, it kind of seems to trim off some of those like sub-low frequencies, the real deep low end. I actually kind of like it like that a little bit better because it makes the amp slightly tighter, slightly more percussive. All right, and we were also going to switch it now from modern into vintage on the power section response setting. So the power switch response definitely adds to those low mids a good bit. Let's go back to vintage. All right, that seems to open it up quite a bit. I really like this amp. I like the way that it sounds, the way that we have it set right now. And it seems to have a little bit more clarity in this power section response mode. I dig it. I like how this sounds quite a bit. So I'm gonna flip this edge switch in and show you just how much gain and compression this adds. As you can see, it's pretty noisy. There's a lot of saturation. A lot of that high end and high mid is being kind of chopped off because there's a good bit of compression going on. So let's turn that off. And let's turn the gain back up to noon. Much better in my opinion, my personal opinion, but that edge just adds way too much darkness. It really seems to compress and oversaturate the amp quite a bit. It's got plenty of gain on tap in its stock form without that switch engaged, so I think it's just fine like that. I'm gonna go ahead and kick in the Boss SD1. Okay, so let's see how that sounds in front of the amp. I've touched nothing on the amp. So that adds a considerable amount of mids and just kind of top end brightness. We're actually gonna pull that damping back, and I'm gonna pull the bass or the low end up. That sounds super mean to me. Let's switch that. Oh, we're still in wide. I'm dumb. I didn't put it back to normal. So here's normal on the power section response. All right, so that sounds good to me. This amp sounds really good. I really dig it. Let's pull the mids back just a tad. Let's pull that presence back and add a little bit more high and see how that affects things. I dig it. There does seem to be kind of a weird, like upper mid clanky frequency coming through, especially on like palm mutes and stuff like that. So we're gonna switch from the Boss SD1. Let's try the Mxr M77 Overdrive. All right, so this actually is much more tame in those mids. It's not quite as bright in the top end. Let's add some damping. Let's add a little bit of presence, a little bit of high end. All right, guys, I am in D standard. Let's check out a riff in D standard. All right, so pretty good there. We have too much low end going on though. Let's back that depth. Let's get some more mid going. Let's get a little bit less low. Woo! Daddy like that. I think that sounds pretty good. I don't know about you guys. Let me know down in the comments how you think this amp is sounding, but I think it sounds really good right now. I'm really having a lot of fun with this thing. EMGs, and then we will call it a day. All right, guys, we're back in E standard. I have my Solar E2.6 here with an EMG 85 in the bridge. Let's see how it sounds. I don't know why, as soon as I hit a chord on that, that reminded me of like Randy Rhoads' tone, like immediately. Okay, so I like that, but I always feel like the EMGs can benefit from a little bit of top end grind, so the SD1 does that a little bit better. And I immediately like that more. Let's get a little bit more depth, a little bit more low end. Let's pull this presence and the damping back. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me today on the Peters Gryphon 100 watt professional series dual channel amplifier. What did you guys think of this thing? Let me know down in the comments of this video. I am always really curious to see what you guys thought. I thought it sounded incredible here in the room, but what did you guys think on your end, under the microphone and through your speakers? Let me know, and I'll be sure to meet you down in the comments to chat about it. If you like this video and you want to continue supporting what I do, go down in the description of this video and any other of my videos. My Sweetwater affiliate link, you can click on that, get yourself something nice from the fine folks at Sweetwater. I get a little kickback, it costs you nothing extra, and it greatly helps the channel move forward. Or you can consider becoming one of these fantastic people by adding your name to this list of my Patreon community and supporting the channel that way. I'll love you forever, whether you want me to or not. And finally, consider becoming a member of the Belligerent Amateur community by joining my Discord server and my Facebook group, all down in the description of this video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button on the way out. Consider subscribing so you don't miss anything else. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.